Hi guys, it's me, Kyne. So in my last video, we did the makeup tutorial for this haunted, skeletal, fashion ghost, but the real part I have been proud of is this dress. I had the idea of doing like a big, fluffy, high-low dress and headpiece and just tons of flowing tulle. It's super easy, you don't even need a sewing machine for this. You just need a lot of tulle for the skirt, a needle and thread, a corset to make up the bodice, and for the headpiece, some hot glue, flowers, and a headband. I'll put everything in detail down in the description, but let's just get started. First, doing the dress. I went out and bought two colors of tulle, a pure white and like an ivory. I wanted to create some dimension, but in hindsight, I should have just used one color. But the idea behind the skirt is we're going to take some strips of tulle and tie it to some long piece of ribbon that's the length around your waist. I believe this is called a cow hitch knot after looking it up. It's hard to explain, but I'm sure once you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean. If you only tied one end of the tulle to the ribbon using a normal knot, your piece would be longer, but it would also be thinner. This way you get more fullness easier, and you only have to make half the cuts since each piece gives you two ends, if that makes sense. I didn't make any measurements to this. I just made sure to keep the shorter pieces on the ends of the ribbon and the longest in the middle, kind of like a bell curve. That way you put it on from the back and tie it together in the front. And you can see I tried to mix together two different colors of tulle for the sake of having dimension and layers. So you can see me here kind of trying to spread them around and scrunching it up so they blend together, but it still looks so obvious by looking at all the knots. I got this corset off of Amazon, and I'm going to attach the skirt part with the longest strips in the middle lined up with the back of the corset. I'm attaching it with just a needle by hand since I didn't want to use a machine. I didn't really trust that it would work with how thick this thing is, but basically you just need to sew the corset to the twill tape, and the twill tape is just the kind of ribbon that I tied everything to. Whatever you're tying the tulle onto, sew that into the corset. Since the tulle is so flimsy and thin, I wouldn't trust it to hold up the weight of the skirt. I sewed from end to end, and actually when I cut off this ribbon measuring around my waist, I made sure to leave some extra room. So there's some little extra ribbon on both ends of the skirt so that when I put it on and shut the front closed with clasps, I could also tie the skirt shut and hide the knot in all of the flowing tulle. In my attempt to hide all of the knots, I added some more of the pure white colored tulle to the top by tying it to all the knots, just so it's more of a unified color and the skirt kind of blends into the corset, at least from a distance. The whole look, I admit, is not as polished as it could be. It's a little bit more grunge, a little bit worn, because we are a ghost after all. That's pretty much the full dress. One thing to keep in mind when you're cutting off the strips, try to make them long enough at least to cover your like crotch area, but then again, I don't know, it's totally up to you. But I'm going to move on to the headpiece now. I'm taking this plastic bag and putting it over my head, and then I'm going to use some tinfoil to make a mold of my head shape, just wrapping it around. And then I'm going to add a bunch of tape so it just stays together in one piece so I can take it off. Cutting off that excess, and then you have a base for your headpiece. Making a mark in the middle, and then I'm going to attach it to just a sturdy head. I attached a super cheap plastic headband just to add some more structure to it when it goes over my head, and then I'm going to cover all of that ugly stuff with this little lace trim I got ages ago. Sometimes I just go into thrift stores and I buy things that catch my eye. I usually find some way to make some use out of them, but I clipped it in first onto the headpiece to see how I wanted it to sit. And I made sure to take one side lower in the front just because I wanted to be a little asymmetrical on my face, but that's just personal preference. I'm gluing it to the tinfoil base with some hot glue, and then from here I'm just going to glue on a ton of dollar store flowers. This part is so fun. You kind of just get to be crafty and free and just have fun with it, trying it on now and again to see if I like the size and the proportions of everything. Finally, to finish it off, I took a big strip of leftover tulle, long enough that I could glue it to the headpiece, wrapping it over the bouquet of flowers and still hits the floor. And this is just going to be a huge veil to cast that ghostly, ethereal aesthetic over the entire look. Since this thing is so tall, you might want to have some double-sided tape to attach it, but you guys, this is the finished look. I didn't intend for this to look so bridal. I was going for more like a high fashion ghost, but I still like how it turned out. I like how the skirt is not so clean and pristine. All the strips we cut out and tied kind of remind me of like toilet paper, but it gives the look some edge, which I ended up liking. This is something totally different for me and out of my comfort zone, but I hope you guys liked watching this video. Be sure to subscribe for more like this and give it a thumbs up. It helps me a lot. But until next time, I'll see you guys all in my next video. Bye!